Close your eyes and return to a time when movie stars felt like heroes, and heroes felt like family. If you grew up in the 1960s or 1970s, these faces once filled your living room screens, shaping how you understood courage, kindness, and right from wrong. Today, we're revisiting the actors who became childhood heroes, beloved stars, who left a lasting mark on an entire generation. John Wayne, for children. Growing up in the 1960s and 1970s, John Wayne wasn't just a movie star. He was a symbol of strength, courage, and protection. His films often played in living rooms on weekend afternoons, with fathers watching closely and children absorbing every moment. Wayne's characters stood for justice, loyalty, and standing up for what was right. Values that quietly shaped how many kids understood the world. He felt larger than life, yet familiar. Whether riding across the open plains or standing firm against danger, John Wayne represented a kind of hero children trusted. He wasn't flashy or complicated, he was steady, dependable, and reassuring. Even decades later, hearing his voice or seeing his silhouette instantly brings back memories of family movie nights and a time when heroes felt clear and certain. For many, John Wayne remains the face of childhood bravery. Jimmy Stewart was the hero who didn't need to raise his voice. To kids of the 60s and 70s, he represented kindness, honesty, and quiet strength. His characters were thoughtful, emotional, and deeply human qualities that made him feel safe and trustworthy. Watching Jimmy Stewart felt like watching a good man navigate life's challenges with integrity. Films like It's a Wonderful Life continue to be passed down through generations, becoming a yearly tradition in many homes. Children didn't just watch him, they learned from him. Stewart showed that being a hero didn't mean being fearless. It meant caring, trying, and doing the right thing even when it was hard. For those who grew up with him, he remains a gentle reminder of goodness and hope. Gregory Peck. Gregory Peck embodied moral strength in a way that felt calm, steady, and deeply reassuring. For children growing up in the 1960s and 1970s, his presence on screen carried weight not through anger or force, but through quiet authority. When Peck appeared in a film, audiences knew they were about to see a character who stood for something meaningful. In To Kill a Mockingbird, he became far more than an actor playing a role. He became a moral guide not just for adults, but for young viewers who were beginning to understand ideas like fairness, justice, and compassion. Children watched him stand up for what was right, even when the world around him pushed back. That lesson stayed with them. Gregory Peck didn't rely on action scenes or bravado to command attention. His power came from dignity, restraint, and principle. Kids sensed that his characters told the truth even when it was uncomfortable and defended others even when it cost them something. Parents trusted him as a role model, and children absorbed that trust instinctively. For many who grew up watching him, Gregory Peck represents the ideal of goodness itself. Reminder that real strength comes from conscience, empathy, and the courage to do what is right. Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn was a very different kind of childhood. Heroine defined not by loud confidence, but by grace, kindness, and quiet inner strength. To children growing up in the 60s and 70s, she felt elegant yet approachable, gentle yet resilient. There was something about her presence that immediately put viewers at ease. Her films were often watched alongside mothers and grandmothers, turning movie nights into shared moments across generations. Audrey represented beauty without cruelty and charm without arrogance. She showed that softness could coexist with strength, and that kindness could be powerful. For many young girls, especially, she offered a rare and meaningful role model, someone who didn't need to dominate a room to be unforgettable. Audrey Hepburn's characters carried warmth and humanity. They made audiences feel understood rather than impressed. Even today, her image evokes comfort, empathy, and timeless elegance. For those who grew up watching her, Audrey Hepburn remains a reminder that heroes don't always fight battles or raise their voices. Sometimes they inspire simply by being thoughtful, compassionate, and true to themselves. Julie Andrews. For many children, Julie Andrews was childhood comfort. Her roles in Mary Poppins and The Sound of Music created a sense of safety, warmth, and joy that few actors have ever matched. She felt like someone you could trust completely. Her voice soothed, her smile reassured, and her presence made the world feel manageable. Families watched her films together, often returning to them again and again. Julie Andrews wasn't just entertaining, she was nurturing. For those who grew up in the 60s and 70s, she represents home, love, and the magic of family. Clint Eastwood. As the 70s arrived, Clint Eastwood became the hero of a new generation. For kids growing up during that time, he represented toughness, independence, and quiet rebellion. Eastwood's characters were strong, reserved, and uncompromising. He didn't explain himself, he acted. Watching him alongside parents felt like witnessing adulthood up close, though more intense than earlier heroes. He still became a childhood icon. Clint Eastwood symbolized confidence and resilience, leaving a lasting impression on those who grew up watching him. Henry Fonda. Henry Fonda brought a rare kind of wisdom and calm authority to the screen, one that didn't demand attention, but quietly earned respect. For children growing up in the 1960s and 1970s, he often played the adult everyone trusted, the voice of reason, fairness, and moral clarity in a confusing world. When Henry Fonda spoke, you listened. Not because he was loud or intimidating, but because he felt honest. Parents admired him deeply. He represented values they hoped to pass on: integrity, patience, and responsibility. Children, in turn, sensed that trust. Watching Henry Fonda felt safe. His characters stood for what was right, even when it wasn't easy or popular. And that lesson stayed with young viewers long after the credits rolled. In an era marked by rapid change, social tension, and uncertainty, Henry Fonda symbolized stability. He reminded audiences that decency still mattered. For those who grew up watching him, he remains more than an actor. He is a quiet guidepost, a reminder of a time when heroes didn't shout, but led by example. Dick Van Dyke brought something priceless into American homes: pure, joyful laughter that everyone could share. His humor was physical, energetic, and filled with heart, never cruel, never cynical. For children, he was endlessly entertaining, a man who could turn a simple moment into comedy gold. For parents, he was familiar, comforting, and trustworthy. Watching Dick Van Dyke was often a family event. Laughter wasn't isolated, it was shared across the room. His performances created moments where generations laughed together, something that feels increasingly rare today. He represented happiness without edge, comedy without bitterness, and joy without embarrassment. Beyond the laughs, Dick Van Dyke carried warmth. He felt like someone you might actually know, a friendly neighbor or favorite uncle. For those who grew up in the 60s and 70s, he remains one of the clearest symbols of childhood joy, reminding us of a time when laughter was simple, sincere, and shared by everyone in the room. Doris Day. Doris Day represented warmth, optimism, and emotional safety in a way few actors ever have. Her presence on screen felt gentle and reassuring, like a friendly voice welcoming you into the room. For children and parents alike, watching a Doris Day film felt comfortable, something you could enjoy together without worry or tension. She embodied kindness and sincerity. In her films, problems were faced with grace, misunderstandings were resolved with compassion, and hope was never far away. For kids growing up in the 60s and 70s, Doris Day symbolized a world where goodness still prevailed and people treated each other with respect in a rapidly changing society. Her films offered stability. She felt familiar, dependable, and emotionally grounding. For those who grew up with her movies playing on television or at the cinema, Doris Day remains a powerful reminder of happier times when stories ended kindly, and the world felt a little safer than it does today. Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds became the smiling hero of the 1970s, new kind of childhood idol, who blended confidence with humor and charm. Unlike more serious heroes, he didn't take himself too seriously, and that made him instantly likable. Kids admired his confidence, parents enjoyed his easygoing humor, and families gathered together to watch his films. He brought excitement without darkness and adventure without fear. His characters felt bold but approachable, strong yet playful. Watching Burt Reynolds meant fun. He represented a version of heroism that included laughter, warmth, and personality, not just toughness. For many who grew up during the 70s, Burt Reynolds symbolized a shift toward lighter, more relaxed storytelling. He reminded audiences that heroes could smile, joke, and still come out on top. Today, he remains a nostalgic symbol of an era when movies made people feel good and heroes made you cheer as much as they made you laugh as our journey comes to an end. Take a moment to reflect on what these actors truly meant. They weren't just performers on a screen, they were symbols of safety, goodness, and inspiration during our formative years. Through them, we learned about fairness, compassion, humor, and strength. Their films and shows brought families together, turning ordinary evenings into shared memories that still live on today. Though time has passed and the world has changed, the feelings they gave us remain the same. Remembering these childhood heroes isn't about looking backward, It's about honoring the values they quietly passed on to us. If any of these names brought back a memory, a smile, or a sense of comfort, then their legacy is still alive. And perhaps that's the greatest role any hero can ever play.